Lies.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you. I'm your Wednesday night host at BodyBags, and man, what a week. And here I am, another review from the car. This is not the way I would like to do things, but sometimes we're sort of pressed into these things. And so here I am, pressed into it. And so this happens to be number 40 for me, my 40th review. And so I thought I would pick a movie this week that is 40 years old. And so I went back to 1979 and found a film that was shot on the same studio as Ridley Scott's 1979 Alien. And the film is from Bob Clark and, of course, Black Christmas fame, right? I think that's back in 74. And, of course, what a filmography he has. I mean, everything from Baby Geniuses to A Christmas Story to Porky's to, I mean, he's just been all over the map. But tucked within there, he did a Sherlock Holmes film, Murder by Decree. And what an absolutely incredible film this is. Here's the, here's if you can see it right there. That's pretty good. You can see Christopher Plummer there and James Mason on the cover. Of course, Plummer is Sherlock Holmes and Mason is Watson. And you also have in this cast Anthony Quayle, Donald Sutherland. I mean, it's just, it's on David Hemmings. The cast is unreal. But this was sort of like a dream for Bob Clark to do a Sherlock Holmes film. And so 1979, he decided to, I can't remember the name of the book, but it's the book that really highlighted this conspiratorial plot involving the Masons, and which reached up into the highest levels of government. And basically the idea here is, or at least the theory was, that the Masons were sort of protecting a fellow Mason who was committing these acts, these murders, in order to allow the government to be seen in such a light that the people would just revolt and the government structure would fall, and, you know, this new government apparatus could come into being. And so it's a real sort of higher level conspiracy that you don't often really think about when you think of Jack the Ripper. And but ultimately Holmes will get onto the case, and with Watson, and man, those two are so much fun to watch together. The entire cast is awesome. But so this the story really revolves around this Masonic the plot, and as Jack the Ripper does his thing, it's you know, it's a bit of a slow burn at points, but I mean, it's funny when I revisited this film, I thought to myself, I don't remember this movie feeling this long when I was a kid. And it might have been that some of the imagery, some of the images in this film, when you see Jack the Ripper, even from a distance and at one point even up close, committing these acts of murder, they are done in such a way that they do leave somewhat an indelible mark on you, especially if you're 10 years old, like I was probably when I first saw this movie. This movie's always hung around in the attic, so to speak, of my memory bank of just, you know, remembering those things that held near and dear to my heart as a kid, and acted again as a segue into the deeper things of horror. And but upon revisiting it, I think the only thing that really intrigued me was listening to Bob Clark commentary on this DVD, and so that really, you know, was interesting, and it made it fun for me. The film is a bit of a slow burn, and there are times when he will allow the characters to come to the camera, long tracking shots. But his seamless ability to integrate miniatures and location, and what was I thinking here? The use of miniatures, location, and it's been a long day. There's like three major aspects of that went into this film. Excuse me. That are just done absolutely marvelously. I mean, the miniatures are so incredibly done that when you go from a miniature to a live location, a locale shot, it is about as seamless as it can be. And yeah, I mean, if you really sit there and look long and hard, you're probably gonna see the difference between a miniature and what is not. But still, it's overall it was done well, in terms of a film, and it's a character-driven piece. I mean, when you got the likes of Christopher Plummer and James Mason heading the cast, I mean, you're getting character, right? So I mean, it's a Jack the Ripper story, and there's a few gruesome scenes, and but there's the Messianic plot to consider, which I think has sort of been pushed off by the wayside at this point in time. I mean, here we are in 2019, and we're talking about something that happened in 1888. And quite frankly, I don't even know if these murders have ever really been solved. I mean, if they have been, I've missed it. So you could, if there's been new revelations, you could drop a comment down below and fill me in, sort of, so I can know. But yeah, it's a good movie. It's a solidly directed movie. The cinematography, I mean, is really good, and of course, it's a character-driven piece. You can't get any better with the casting. And this was something that Bob Clark wanted to do. And so it's one of the things that always motivates me as a viewer is when I know this is a passion project of a director. Well, I mean, that kind of stokes me up a little bit to get into it and really try to see what it was that was driving this director. And Bob Clark is so freaking awesome anyways. I mean, Black Christmas may be one of my ultimate favorite horror films of all freaking time. That is just an awesome, awesome movie. So it is a lengthy movie. I can't remember what the running time was, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was up around 2 hours. It's a rather lengthy movie, I think. But it's one that if you're a fan of Sherlock Holmes and you've never seen this one, it's worth a view. Now, I think in '79, Time After Time also came out, which was another Jack the Ripper tale. And so there must have been something in the air of Jack the Ripper there in the late 70s. And Bob Clark kind of jumped, into that as well with his Murder by Decree. And so, yeah, check it out. I mean, it's definitely worth the watch. And when you see Plummer and Mason, I mean, just spend, shared quality, time on camera together. It's just a joy. It's a joy to watch. And so again, the movie is Murder by Decree, and that's my DVD cover. Anchor Bay put out the DVD. It is an AVCO embassy film, which is kind of fun because, I mean, at least for me personally, when I think of AVCO embassy pictures, immediately the fog comes to my mind. And so I'll be honest, when I threw this in the other night and AVCO embassy comes up, I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't put the fog on, did I? But it's a good movie. It's funny when you read the cover boxes, the best Sherlock Holmes movie ever made. Maybe at the point of 1979, we may have some different feelings on that post 79 forward, but at the time, it really may have been. But actually, I'm seeing it now. 124 minutes is your running time, rated PG at the time. Of course, back then, PG was just a little bit different than we think of PG today. I mean, Jaws was PG. I mean, so parental guidance was really thought, it was taken seriously in terms of, what are your kids watching that's rated PG? And R was a whole new level, generally speaking, right? But, yeah, so week 310, Murder by Decree. Sherlock Holmes on the trail of Jack the Ripper and dealing with the Masons and just all the intrigue and, Bob Clark, helming, from the director's chair. And it's, I always forget about this movie. And then I see it on my shelf and every once in a while I put it on. And it's pretty atmospheric, too. It does carry some definitely, I shouldn't even say there's points where it's very atmospheric. The fog, the London streets. I mean, it's at times even the miniatures sort of kind of take on a character or quality onto themselves. There was a lot of love poured into this film, and so it ought to be seen just really for that, I guess. So yeah, a little reminiscent from my childhood. Murder by Decree, week 310. Rob from Georgia, your Wednesday night host, and appreciate just everything about BodyBags, and just for my 40th review, just the idea that I've actually done 40 reviews on BodyBags. I'm very thankful, I'm very privileged that I've been allowed to do this, and hopefully allowed to continue to do this for some time. And I thank you guys for watching, and for the comments that I get from time to time, for the like button from time to time, and do keep plugged in, though. It is great that we finally got, I mean, not finally, but I mean, we got a host for every day, and so every day something new is coming out. And what I find really cool about the cast of characters that we have is everyone seemingly has their own niche. I mean, in terms of love of film. I mean, you got Italian cinema with me, generally speaking, right? You got Crispy with B movies, and it's a different flavor, and you see that come out from day to day to day. And so that's kind of neat that we're all sort of maybe not intentionally or whatnot, but we're falling into certain niches. That is kind of neat. So anyways, I'm going to drop it there, and just keep plugged into BodyBags, and we always leave these things off with Go Bills.